Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside La Resistance. This is a game designed by Mark Walker and published by Flying Pig Games. This was one of the Kickstarters that Flying Pig did not too long ago, and it has since gotten out to the backers, and the game's been in the wild for a bit now. And Mark had reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in covering the game on the channel, and we're talking about doing either a live playthrough or a recorded playthrough digitally using Tabletop Simulator. So that's something we'll be exploring and looking at doing here within the next several weeks. But real excited to check this one out because it looks like it'd be a pretty fun game. It's a dice and card game, it's a social game, and it's for 3 to 5 players. So it plays in under an hour, so I think it'll be something that'll be pretty fun to play. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. Be a French resistance leader during the dark days of the German occupation. Use scarce resources represented by dice or cards to outwit German soldiers and capture glory. La Resistance is a highly interactive dice and card game for 3 to 5 players that recreates the challenges of leading a band of French partisans during the German occupation of France during World War II. In every round, each player allocates dice to defeat mission cards set before them. Unfortunately, there are never enough dice to do everything. Should you silence that German communication center for the glory you will reap, or destroy the German panzer to avoid the casualties it will inflict? And what about that C'est la guerre card your opponent is holding? How will that wreck your plans? Overwhelm the Boche or face the ignominy of defeat. Lead La Resistance. Each game of La Resistance includes 6 character cards, 35 mission cards, 9 event cards, 9 C'est la guerre cards, 6 white dice, 4 blue dice, 14 die-cut game markers, and is for ages 13 and up for 3 to 5 players, and the playing time is 44 minutes. So pretty unique playing time, 44 minutes, not 45. We see one of the character cards, some of the counters, the dice, and the cards. So let's take a look inside and see what you get. All right, so we have our rule book, our sheet of tokens, the resistance leader cards, bag of dice, and our cards. So let's take a closer look at all the components. And here's a look at the neoprene mat that comes with the Kickstarter version. That's exactly what Mark had sent to me. I only showed you the game part to begin with because we're looking at the back of the box. I was talking about the game, but this was also sent, as were some additional cards and the special dice that were with the Kickstarter. But a beautiful neoprene mat, nice stitched sides. I really like the look of it and the feel of it, and it gives you a nice distinct area to play the game in. You don't have to worry about where you're going to set the game up. You don't need it, obviously. You can set the game up on the table and play. But when you have an area for each player to set up their cards and to play out of, I think it's a little nicer because then everybody knows exactly where everything goes and what they should do with their cards, where they should put them, things like that. So this keeps everything in order, and it's really nice, smooth, soft, and beautifully done by Flying Pig Games. Next, we'll take a look at the Resistance Leader cards. Every player will get one of these, and these are nice thick cardstock, and on the back it says Passport. I really like that. It gives the feel that these are your papers that you carry around in German-occupied France. At the top you have the Glory Points track, and at the bottom you have the Recruits track. The point of the game is to be the first to reach 12 Glory Points, and to make sure you do not run out of recruits before the other players do. Each card will also have a skill and a little bit of background fluff. The background fluff just fleshes out your character. The skill is something you'll use during the game, and as you can see, each of these characters has a different skill, as well as a little bit of background fluff that's different from the others. And the final one. Now we'll take a look at the sheet of tokens that comes with the game. On the top we have the Glory Points, on the bottom we have Recruits. Ammunition at the top right, and at the bottom right are the dice counters. Next, we'll take a look at the cards that are in the game, as well as a brief overview of how they work. At the beginning of every player turn, you're going to have 3 mission cards placed out in front of you. You're going to roll your 6 dice. And you're going to be using the dice to accomplish the missions. On the left-hand side is the number of the dice that you're going to need to accomplish the mission. On the right-hand side is the benefit or the negative that can affect you by carrying out the mission or failing the mission. And in this instance here, for the 5 on the warehouse, if you put a 5 die on here, you're going to get 1 glory point. If you put a pair of 5s here, you'll get 2 new recruits. And over here for the Panzer Grenadiers, you need a 5 and a 6. And the 6 black dice is a little different because that means you can use multiple dice to match up to that number. So in this case, I can use a 6 or I can use multiple dice to equal 6 or greater to accomplish this mission. If I do not, I'm going to lose 2 recruits. The interesting thing is you've got these 2 6s here. 6s are exploding dice. That means I can get 2 extra dice. So I can take these blue, I roll them out here, I get another 6 and a 2. That 6 again explodes, I get another blue, I throw it out here, I have another 5. Now I want to look at what I want to do on this turn. So I've got a couple ways of doing things. I can take this 6, put it here. I can take this 5 and put it here. So now I have protected the 2 recruits. I'm not going to lose 2 recruits. Remember, to win the game, you want to get to 12 glories. So you're going to want to get a 5 out here. But I do not have a 5 in the white. I do thankfully have a 5 in the blue. I put that there. I will accomplish this card. Here I have 2 5s that are needed, but I do not have 5 dice. So that card will not succeed. At the end of the turn, I will gain 1 glory. I will also avoid losing 2 recruits. Also, we have events. And here it says, Wehrmacht veterans. A train full of troops has come in from the Eastern Front. Undefeated German patrols and Panzer Grenadiers eliminate 1 extra recruit this round. So it was really good to make sure I took out that Panzer Grenadier patrol, because if I did not, I would have lost 3 recruits rather than 2. You start off with 6, 50% of my force would have been lost right there. So good thing that I was able to accomplish that mission. There are also C'est la Guerre cards, and these are pretty interesting. In this instance here, we've got Brutality. Your cruelness to friend and foe alike has marred your reputation. Target player loses 3 glory. This card once played. You get one of these, you can hold on to it, and you can target another player when you need to. You know, they're up to 11 glory, and at 1 more, they're going to win. You play that card, they lose 3 glory, now they're down to 8. So, good way to stab your buddy in the back, and part of the reason why I think this game looks to be a lot of fun. And another neat little addition that Flying Pig Games did with the Kickstarter version is custom dice. You have your white and your blue dice. For the white dice, the Maltese cross is in place of the 1, and for the blue dice, the resistance symbol is in place of the 1. And here are a couple more decks that came with the Kickstarter. You have the event cards at the top. These are called the Gestapo Arrived, and at the bottom you have more C'est la Guerre cards called Mes Amis. In this instance, you're going to add more event cards that can come into play, as well as more of the C'est la Guerre cards that are going to give additional benefits or negatives for use by yourself or against another player. Now we'll take a look at the rules. This is a 12-page rulebook. It's a very straightforward game to understand. The inside and front cover, we have a little bit of a breakdown of the game, as well as the components, and then a graphical example of how to set the game up, which, if you have the mat, you won't have any problems knowing where everything is, but if you don't, you can still set it up on the table. Explanation of the setup, and then an explanation of the counters, which we've already seen, and then the mission card explained to you, which we've already talked about. Then we get to playing the game on page 5, how to roll your dice and how to utilize them, which we've talked about, using them on the cards, and then some further things you can do with your cards as well. Exploding dice we've talked about. Sowing Dissension, you can use your dice against other players. C'est la Guerre cards you can get with your dice. You can also do a mulligan where you take one of the dice out of your pool and you re-roll all 5 dice if you don't get the die roll that you want. Stealing glory points, duck and run, and then winning the game on page 7. That's the extent of the rules, only a couple pages. Then an explanation of all the mission cards and what they mean, the event cards, the C'est la Guerre cards, and then an example of play on page 10 that carries over to the back of the rulebook. And that is a look at everything you get inside of La Resistance. This is a game designed by Mark Walker and published by Flying Pig Games. This looks like the perfect game to have with you on game night or at a con. Play it at the end of the night or play it in between games. A nice little filler. At the end of the night, it's even better because you're decompressing from a long day of gaming and you want to play something a little light and pretty fun. Dice chuckers like this I've always enjoyed because you're manipulating the dice, you're using them to defeat missions on the cards, you're also using them to get other cards or to do other things to screw your opponent. I think that's a lot of fun, and I love rolling dice. I think everybody does. So if you're looking for something as a nice filler or end of the night game or to play with your friends and family, this looks like it'll fit the bill very well. So looking forward to getting this one on the table, and also looking forward to getting this one on the channel, because Mark was talking to me about getting a live play of this or maybe a recorded play depending on how our schedules work out, but we will be showing how this game is played on the channel here pretty soon. We just have to work out our schedules, but look forward to seeing a digital play of the game on the channel pretty soon. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.